All right, let's talk savings. July in South Africa is aimed at making South Africans save their money. The theme for this year is hashtag crazy ways to save. I'm dying to hear them. To tell us more, we're joined in studio by Nicollette Mashile from Financial Fitness Bunny. She's been on the show before, and I'm sure you're very familiar with her. And Gerald Mwandiambira, acting CEO of the South African Saving Institute, is here as well. And My Money author. I'm also joined in studio by Thami, Cele, who's the head of retail savings and investment at ABSA. So nice to have all of you here. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a vital conversation that we need to have.
Yes.
Because I need some advice. In fact, I just saw Sakina making a phone call to her banker to say, listen, I got to start making some savings now, because it's that time where we realize,
That's right.
you know, you wake up, perhaps it's too late. You haven't even started. But let me begin by asking you now, how are South Africans doing when it comes to saving?
Leanne, I think the challenge is South Africans are not saving. There's very little of them, very few of them rather, who are actually making an effort to save. And we know what the challenges are, over-indebtedness, the will to continue and I guess move away from instant gratification needs that they want to, to enjoy fairly quickly. Self-control, as well, to stick to the plan. That's one of the bigger challenges that we see.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the highest that we've seen where South Africans don't save was 2013. We've seen an improvement on that. So I think it's important that we also celebrate the
That's
fact
good
that
news.
we're seeing, the turn, at the same time.
People are becoming more financially
They're becoming a
aware.
lot more aware,
Yeah.
and they realize the importance, of the. Sometimes you need to experience the challenges in order for you to be able to see the importance and the need to start planning for any eventualities that you might have no control over.
Yeah. All right, let's, Gerald, go back to the beginning now, because I mentioned in the introduction that this year's theme is crazy ways to save. Elaborate a little bit for us.
Okay, well, over the last number of years, we've always had prescriptive messages in terms of not having a consumer-driven message around savings. So as a result, savings was very theoretical. With hashtag crazy ways to save, we're saying on the SASI Twitter handle and Facebook page, put up 30-second video of how you save, because often savings is a behavioral thing. It's something which we need to see and experience. And often when you hear the story of someone who theoretically earns a lot less than you, but is able to do much more and has the commitment and drive to save, you might be motivated to save. So every day this month, 1,000 Rand to a 30-second video. The videos have started coming through, and we're getting some really nice videos and footage of people who are saving, from matriculants right through to someone who said they're saving for a computer. So we're getting the message across, and I think that's why we want Savings Month to become a consumer-driven event. And savings is not about money, it's about lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's about saving in every area of your life.
All right, I'm going to ask you in a short while, Gerald, some ideas that people have already posted out there to say, this is the crazy way I'm saving. But Nicollette, I want to bring you into the conversation. I mean, crazy ways to save. Do you think that this is it's a nice way to reach the public, a nice way to sort of say, hey, come, get involved, no matter how much, no matter where you are, let's do it.
Look, Leanne, I think it's time we change the narrative around saving. And I think what Gerald said is quite important, because in the past it was always from top down. This is how you're supposed to save, this is what you're supposed to do. And it always felt like a little extra work that I now have to do, I always say some savings hacks sometimes are quite unrealistic and they feel like a job, We're saying to people, get an additional job. At the same time, we're like, bake your own bread. When do I do all these things? When do I get time to do all these things? And sometimes it sounds a little undignified, the ways that we tell people to save. So I think when you now going to the public and you're saying, how are you saving? What has worked for you? If we take away that survivalist bias where somebody is saying, this is how I saved. Yeah, this is how you saved, but somebody else could have tried the same thing and failed at it. So let's rather get people to tell us how they are saving. What are their crazy ways of saving? What are you doing? How far are you willing to go to be able to fundamentally get to your financial goal?
Okay, so ABSA, we kind of know. I mean, you open a bank account and you save. Nothing crazy about that. But, let's talk. But perhaps there are crazy amounts that people are saving. I mean, they might be putting 2 Rand aside every month. I don't know. Tell me the crazy stories from the banking side.
Well, firstly, opening a bank account is actually a thing to do, right? Because what you're finding is that people actually even don't want to go into the bank or even open up their laptops and open the account, because that is a sign of intent, just that alone. And so we think that it's important to actually open these accounts and where you can put money in. We think it's important also to not rely on your memory of every month having to put money into the account.
Yeah.
Set up a recurring, a debit order or payment into these accounts. Make sure at the same time that you review your statements. Because when you talk about it's a financial management, it's a day-to-day management. Make sure you have a review of your financial statements, your bank statements, because that's actually where you are going to see a lot of opportunities where you can actually save. You
can cut back. It is quite incredible.
That's right.
When you break it down and you look at what you're spending on, and you think, wow, okay, I didn't realize I'm spending this much on
data.
That's right.
Okay, come. Do you really want to start now? Let's not go there. That's a conversation for another day. But okay, I'm asking you some ideas.
Okay.
I mean, Gerald, give me the craziest idea of
we've
saving.
had quite a few crazy ideas. One of the things we also did this year was we got a panel of some of the biggest voices in terms of savings and wealth creation in South Africa. And they're all young people. We've got Nicollette Mashile, we've got Samke Mhlongo, and we've got Mapalo Maku, young ladies who are talking about saving. And then there's older people like myself and Maya Fisher-French. And some of the crazy ways which have come up is bath your children all in the same bath water. It sounds crazy, but it is, and it works. Or if you want to take the romantic edge, since we're adults, bath with your spouse.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Switch off the lights in the rooms you're not in, carpool, car share, anything which is about lifestyle, because saving starts from the moment you open your eyes. It's not something you do at the point of opening the bank account. It's something you've already consciously started living. And what we want to do is to get more South Africans living a saving conscious lifestyle. And it's not always those hacks about save on the coffee you drink. That's going to save you R2. It's not really big. Big savings is your utilities, because outside transport, people are spending the most on utilities and food. So that's where we need to start saying, let's do something about it. And someone like myself, probably the gym will help.
There's a cost for you as well. I like the bathing together thing. However, that might expand the families. So that adds another but don't worry about that. Nicollette, you've done this. I mean, your story, for people that are not they're not savvy with what you have done and where financial fitness bunny comes from, the financial fitness bunny. Talk to us a little bit about your story.
Look, Lee, and I think the one thing that people have to remember is that saving is not in isolation. It's not an island that you're going to sit on where you're just savings, right? So there's a whole lot of stuff that you've got to do to prepare yourself to get to a point where you are actually freeing up some money to save. I mean, we had this conversation about how when my salary went up, I didn't change my lifestyle. I kept it. I didn't increase my expenditure. That is something that people need to realize that they've got to do so that the saving becomes a little bit easier. Gerald speaks about when you are trying to save, when you're in financial distress, it will become a little bit more impossible and more difficult, right? Because now you don't feel like it's an organic thing that you do. So, I mean, that's how I've always lived my life. I've always believed in living below my means, even if it's just a financial sacrifice for a couple of years. You don't have to do it forever. And I think a lot of people think it's a forever thing. Oh my goodness, I'm never going to enjoy my money. No, you will enjoy your money. Another thing that I think a lot of South Africans need to look at, I mean, we speak about how we're in a consumeristic society. But what are you buying? That's what you need to ask yourself. What is it that you're buying? If you're spending so much money on data, could you find a way in which you buy shares in the same company that you're buying data from?
Or just find free hotspots every day.
Yeah, exactly. Free.
Why not? Why not?
I mean,
hop around.
Clever. The other big issue, and Nicollette, I'm going to talk to you about this, is we live in a fickle world. And when I mean this, I mean, I open up my Instagram feed every morning and that every day, and you look and you think, oh, look at them. Look at that life. Look at those cars. Look at that jewelry. Oh my gosh, look what she's wearing.
I want.
I want that.
I want,
I mean, this is what we've become, unfortunately. We're aspiring, perhaps, to the wrong things.
Yes.
With instant gratification, which you said.
I think we aspire a lot to what we think money is supposed to look like.
Yes.
And that's what social media allows, right? We've got a lot of people that are on social media who look rich, who sound rich, but what...
They anything but.
Exactly. What does the asset statement actually look like? And I think that once we start changing that psychological thing that people have, that there's a certain way to be rich or a certain look to be rich, you start having a different conversation. A gentleman tweeted the other day, I was talking about this looking rich thing, and he said he was in Cape Town and they were viewing these block of flats by the sea, and the gentleman who came out of the woodworks dressed in overalls introduced himself as the owner of the entire block, and that for him was the biggest lesson of his life.
Isn't that awesome?
So that is what we need to get people to do, to start understanding that you don't need to do all these extravagant materialistic things to actually show your wealth.
Yeah,
And
you
at the
don't need to prove anything
Yeah,
to
and
anyone.
at the basic level as well, is that just get your paycheck to actually last you to the next paycheck.
Please.
You know, I think at the very least you want to do that. You know, and I think the joy of not being at the risk of running out of money a week before you get paid. You know, what it does is it creates stresses for you.
Yeah.
You also then start to be absent from work, you know, because you can't get to the office itself. And I think that has a ripple effect. You know, you then starting to be stressed against your children. You know, if they do a small thing and you start acting up because you know, the stress levels are actually carrying you and creating you to be a lot more negative around your own situation, you know, as well.
You become happier.
Yeah.
You're a happier person and more in control. But when we talk about saving, we need to realize that South Africa is going through a tough economic cycle right now. There's retrenchments and redundancies going on. Now, most people seem to say, okay, I'll start saving once I pay off my debt. Now, the challenge I would like to put to South Africans right now is that if you were laid off work next month and you're up to date on all your debts, you've been paying religiously, and you have zero savings, would you be better off than if you had a little bit of saving? So our message is simple and clear. In this tough economic environment, you need to save even more. And basically, yes, pay off your debt responsibly, but be saving all the time. When the debt is gone, save even more. Then you can start living that Instagram lifestyle. And I think we also need to have more responsible messaging in terms of how we relate to money. And I think this is a call maybe to our celebrities and people who are on Instagram to show that, look, they work hard, because they're, you know, it's good to show the nice car, but they don't show the time they spend in the office, that you're first in, last out, the things you have to go through. So let's have a fair narrative of how money and wealth is created, so that people can see that you work hard and then you can get the result. And then also it's a time value of money. Let's also try having now conversation how long it takes to acquire certain things, so that even our youths don't think that a C-class Mercedes doesn't appear on the first day at work. They realize there are steps and it's a journey.
And you've got to aspire to things. You've got to work for things. If things just don't, you know, come. I mean, it always blows my mind to see people spending their money on just cars and phones and going out and partying and alcohol and food, and yet where they live and they hardly have anything, but they're spending it on paying off their car. I don't know, but it's become like that. So very quickly, as we sort of begin to wrap up, I'm going to start on this side. There are many different savings vehicles and tools on a banking side of things. I mean, there's a tax-free savings account. There's those 32-day
notice accounts.
What would you say is the best kind of tool to start saving for anyone?
I guess it depends on the level of where you are. I think at the very entry point, you probably want to start with as little as you can, and especially because you're starting out.
Is there a limit to saving, an amount?
There is absolutely no limit.
There's no
I mean,
limit.
you can start as little as possible. The main thing is about a habit. It's about getting yourself into a habit of doing it, so that it becomes a thing that you don't think about, you know, over time. And we also say, you know, it's important that you actually do recurring contributions, you know, into your savings account. Now, you could decide as a person who feels that I don't have a lot of control over this money, because now and again I go and tap in, that's when you have a 32-day notice account. You could also say that because government has given us an opportunity to save in tax-free savings accounts, that's an opportunity for you as well. That's a long-term view. The reality, Leanne, is that only less than 10% of the people will actually be able to retire well. The rest of them are not able to. And the tax-free savings product actually helps you with that.
And to live off government grants
and
pensions. And
that's right. That's right.
It is very difficult. You have the opportunity to be independent.
That's right.
Go for it.
That's
do
right.
it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And also, I think the risk levels as well. I mean, I think if you go higher up in terms of people who are willing to take risk, I mean, I think you can invest in equities at the same time, because that gives you even greater returns. Indeed. But the reality is you want to also have your capital guaranteed, keep the money in the bank and contribute over a period of time until such time that you save enough to saying now I'm willing to take further risks because I've got a buffer of savings that should I potentially lose that money, I'm not going to suddenly have the house fall apart. You know, I think that's also what needs to be protected.
Nicollette, your final words?
Financial goals. I think it's very difficult to save without a financial goal. You need to know where the end and the start is. So a lot of people, they will ask me, why are we saving? What if I die tomorrow? What if you live, you know? Put something against your savings. I think that will really help you. For instance, are you saving to, as Thami said, to tap into the investment market, to start, maybe you want to buy livestock. And I think also it's important that people take away this idea that they've got to put a certain amount of money away. I think it's what Gerald's been speaking about the whole day, is that you've got to find organic ways in your life to tap into maybe saving a little bit of money here and there, so that everything else, when it comes to personal finance, living below your means, it's not about what you make, it's about what you keep, starts to actually work together, and you will really see a very big difference.
I suppose you will. I mean, it's just being savvy. And then I leave it to you. I mean, we heard in the beginning Thami saying that since 2013 South Africans have gotten better in terms of saving. However, Gerald, I mean, you know, there's still scary statistics as to how many people don't save, and because they're in so much debt, they can't save. From SASI's point of view, you give us your advice and closing words.
Well, indeed, we want the nation to save because individual savings drive the economy. We have less reliance on foreign direct investment, so that's important. So we want to start having that savings narrative. People are saving better not because of choice, because they've been ITC'd and because the banks won't give them any more money. So they're saving. But we actually want good saving stories which are coming from the heart, and that's why hashtag crazy ways to save on Twitter or the South African Savings Institute Facebook page. 1,000 Rand a day, tell your story. Let's have the good stories, the good side of saving, because a lot of people are doing their best, and we do appreciate many people cannot save if they don't have an income. However, if you have an income, you can save R1 a day. Give yourself a R1 a day challenge from Mr. G. Let's start as little as a R1 a day, because we always save out of guilt. Let's do it because we want to, and let's do it because we want to change our lifestyle. Amazing. We've made mistakes, but they can be corrected, and we can become a saving nation.
You never know. Stop smoking and put that money in somewhere else. Stop drinking for a month and see how much you save.
52 Rand for a box of cigarettes. I was shocked.
I know, me too. Me too. Anyway, guys, thank you. What a pleasure. So nice speaking to you. Nicollette Mashile from Financial Fitness Bunny. We've also got Gerald Mwandiambira, acting CEO of the South African Saving Institute and My Money author, and also Thami, Cele, head of retail at ABSA. July, Savings Month, and this year's theme, Crazy Ways to Save. Follow it. We'll see you after this.